Once in a small city lived a young man named Ethan, who dreamed of becoming rich and successful. Every day, he scrolled through social media, seeing people traveling, buying cars, and living what seemed like perfect lives. He would sigh and say to himself, "Why can't my life be like theirs?" Ethan worked hard, but he always felt that something was missing. He had a job, a small apartment, and food on his table, yet he felt empty inside. To him, happiness was always somewhere in the future, never in the present moment. He believed that once he achieved wealth, all his worries would disappear. One cloudy day, as Ethan walked home alone, his world turned upside down. His company announced layoffs, and he was among those who lost their jobs. For the first time, he had no income, no clear direction, and no idea what to do next. The future he had planned for was gone. Days turned into weeks, and Ethan's search for work was met with silence. His savings slowly ran out, and his hope began to fade with each passing day. The city that once seemed full of opportunity now felt cold and unwelcoming. One evening, feeling hungry and frustrated, Ethan walked through a park. He saw an old man sitting on a bench, feeding birds with a gentle smile on his face. The man's clothes were old and worn, and his hands were rough and wrinkled. Yet, his eyes sparkled with a sense of deep peace. Curious, Ethan approached him and asked, "Sir, how can you smile like that when you seem to have so little?" The old man chuckled softly. "My boy," he said, his voice kind, "I have everything I truly need. I have food to eat, air to breathe, and a heart that still beats. Why shouldn't I smile?" His simple words were filled with a wisdom Ethan had never considered. Ethan sat beside him on the bench. "But don't you wish for more?" he asked. "More comfort, more money, a better life?" The man looked up at the sky as the sun began to set. "I once did," he replied calmly. "But I realized that always wishing for more made me blind to what I already had." He pointed to the birds chirping happily as they ate the crumbs. "Every morning, these birds wake up singing. They do not worry about tomorrow. They are grateful for today, and that is why they fly so free." Those words touched Ethan's heart in a profound way. He had always believed that happiness came after success, not before it. He thought that you had to achieve something great to feel content. But this old man was content with almost nothing. That night, as Ethan walked home slowly, his mind was filled with new thoughts. He opened his nearly empty fridge, and for the first time, he smiled. Not because he had food, but because he still had a home to return to. He took out a pen and paper and wrote down 3 things he was grateful for: my health, my family, this moment, the chance to begin again. He decided to make it a new habit. Every morning, before checking his phone for job rejections, Ethan wrote down 3 new things he appreciated: a cup of warm coffee, a friendly message from a friend, the beauty of a sunrise. And slowly, something inside him began to change. His heart, once filled with emptiness and envy, started to fill with warmth and appreciation. The world around him started to look different. Ethan began helping others. He volunteered at a local shelter, helped neighborhood kids with their homework, and offered a smile to strangers. The more he gave of his time and kindness, the more fulfilled he felt. He was no longer just taking, he was contributing. Soon, small opportunities began to appear. First, a few freelance jobs, and then a new full-time position at a company that valued his new positive attitude. People noticed the change in him. He was no longer the man chasing happiness. He was creating it every day through his actions and his mindset. One day, he met the same old man in the park. Ethan rushed over and said, "Sir, I took your advice. I started being thankful every day, and my life has changed completely." The old man smiled wisely. "You see," he said, "gratitude doesn't change what you have. It changes how you see what you have." Years later, Ethan became successful in his career, just as he had once dreamed. But every evening, no matter how busy he was, he still took a moment to write down 3 things he was grateful for. His journal was full. Not of his wealth or achievements, but of the moments that truly mattered. Laughter with friends, small acts of kindness, peaceful mornings, and the lessons he had learned along the way. He had finally understood the great secret. Happiness is not about having more. It is about being thankful for what is already there. So, if you ever feel lost or unsatisfied, just pause for a moment. Look around you and within you. What can you be grateful for right now? Because sometimes, the smallest thank you can unlock the greatest and most lasting peace.